recently read Nabokov's Lolita without any prior knowledge on it, which I must say now is the best and worst way to read it. Honestly, what the hell? I cannot even focus on Nabokov's brilliant style of writing for the first 100 pages. The disturbing subject matter stands boldly as a gatekeeper to what lies underneath. However, that is the mastery of Nabokov's writing, his ability to play and push the line of unreadability. Is it not a brilliant psychological experiment of numbness, slowly getting used to what is presented? I found myself less and less horrified as the story went on. Page by page, the reader unknowingly finds himself as a silent accomplice to the main character and eventually has the horror spread into themselves, completely overtaken by it through habituation. Which is the more dreadful, the subject matter of the novel or the reader who managed to find empathy for it? Nabokov threaded the needle with this novel, but before I get carried away, we will start with due diligence. Vladimir Nabokov was a 20th century Russian American writer renowned for his intricate prose and innovative narrative techniques. Born into an aristocratic family in St. Petersburg, his family fled to Western Europe following the Russian Revolution, eventually settling in Berlin. Nabokov's early works were in Russian, although he transitioned to writing in English after moving to the United States in 1940. He translated many of his own works from Russian to English, ensuring his unique style was preserved. Lolita tells the story of Humbert, a middle-aged European intellectual who becomes infatuated with Dolores Haze, a 12-year-old girl whom he nicknames Lolita. The novel is narrated by Humbert from his perspective, offering a complex and often unreliable account of his obsessive relationship with Lolita. Spoilers from this point on. A great novelist tries to build the strongest possible arguments for his characters, especially the so-called villains or anti-heroes. Think of Dostoevsky's Raskolnikov as an example. I believe Nabokov does the same with Humbert. He constructs a wretched and despicable character, writing in the style of a journal, thus penetrating the reader further by invading their own thoughts, and then makes him the main or rather only character of the story. Only in a sense that all the other characters merely serve as tools to Humbert. This is surely intentional and serving to depict the worldview of a psychopath. Humbert does not see people. He sees incompetent morons, their weaknesses, flaws, and ways to use them for his own gains. A great novelist is an explorer, and Nabokov ventured to places nobody wants to look. And not even that, places that people feel horrified to have anyone look at. Nabokov ventured to a universal taboo, an abyss of never-ending hell and depravity. I believe that is the reason behind the controversy of this novel. Most people cannot stand having those parts of others, therefore also themselves, shined on. Most people cannot, or rather refuse to, fit into their consciousness the reality and totality of human darkness. Thus, a natural reaction is defense in the form of shocked offendedness and moral finger-wagging. However, what lies behind the apprehensible facade? What is the novel at bottom? Nabokov's style is best represented by the ending of the novel. It is a realist and absurdist culmination. The so-called villain of the story, Quilty, who Lolita leaves with only for a brief period, is not noteworthy in the story, contradictory to how adversaries are usually written. In fact, he is barely a character up until the ending, mostly just appearing as a figure of Humbert's paranoia. When we finally meet the so-called villain, Quilty is a gassed, frail, drugged-out writer. Humbert's fantasy of a glorious final confrontation ends accordingly. The confrontation at Quilty's house is awkward, messy, and clumsy. At times, Nabokov is openly ridiculing his main character. When Humbert comes back downstairs, having finally shot Quilty, and announces his victory to the unsuspecting guests that arrived during the showdown, it is shrugged off as a joke. To rub it in, even when Quilty makes a final dying appearance as a monument to Humbert's victory, that too is let down as a joke and ignored by the guests. Humbert leaves seemingly having committed a clean murder. However, in my interpretation, understanding this, he intentionally breaks the traffic laws by driving on the wrong side of the road and confesses to murder when he gets pulled over, thus absurdly forcing his desired fate and putting an end to his uncontrollable existence. During this whole end scene, the expectations of a typical dramatic showdown or ending are constantly subverted and then mocked. This is why I call the style of this novel a combination of modernist realism and absurdism. All in all, I still do not have any idea on how to categorize this novel. Most likely, Nabokov's Lolita is a proud entry into the other category of literature, in a league of its own, as they say. Nevertheless, for those of you unafraid of shaking your inner world, this is worthwhile to read. Quote, whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. Happy exploring.